morning, Mr. Pretorius. Good morning,
Morning,
everybody. Thank you.
Chair, we're running ahead of schedule. There are two witnesses set down for today. They are Mr. Richard Roux,
Yes.
who will be led by Ms. Malefe, and Mr. Leon Fontonda, who will be led by Advocate Buthelezi.
Thank you. Who are you starting with?
Good morning, Chair. We will be starting with Mr. Richard Roux. That appears under T3.
Yes. Registrar, you can administer the oath or affirmation.
Please state your full names for the record.
My name is Richard Roux.
Do you have any objection with taking the prescribed oath?
I do not.
Okay. Do you consider the oath to be binding on your conscience?
I do.
Do you swear that the evidence you will give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Yes, Ms. Malefe, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Roux, please turn to page 1 of T3 before you. Is that your statement to the Commission?
That's correct.
Can you turn to page 12? Is that your signature appearing on that page?
That's correct.
And still staying on page 12, as is stated there, the date of the 28th of January 2019, is that the date on which you made this affidavit?
That's correct, Chair.
Are there any corrections you wish to make to this affidavit?
Yes, on page RLR 004, paragraph 19. It says the procedure to do the special projects were as follows. Firstly, the site survey would be done to determine. I want to change where it says, and in particular, Mr. Gavin Watson, to I.
Okay, so that is the last sentence in that paragraph. So how would it then read? Can you...
I'm sorry, is it paragraph 19?
Paragraph 19 on page 4, Chair.
Okay, just tell me again where you want to correct.
Chair, after it says African Global Group, and in particular Mr. Gavin Watson.
Yes.
I'd like to take and in particular Mr. Gavin Watson out and
Yes.
change that to I.
So it should say, and I gave.
And I gave, yes.
So we delete in particular Mr. Gavin Watson and insert I in its place.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you now confirm the correctness of the statement?
I do.
Do you understand, Mr. Leroux, that the contents of and incidents referred to in your statement may incriminate you in potentially serious offenses?
I do, Chair.
And is the evidence that you're about to give and that contained in your statement being given without any promise of a reward or incentive?
There was no reward or incentive given.
And is the same evidence being given freely and voluntarily?
Free and voluntary, yes, Chair.
Thank you. You're currently employed with Global Technology Systems, which is abbreviated as GTS. Is this correct?
That is correct.
And GTS was previously known as BOSASA. Is this correct?
No, GTS was previously known as Sondolo IT, Chair.
Sondola IT. And is Sondola IT a subsidiary of BOSASA?
Yes, it is, Chair.
In what position are you currently employed?
I am currently employed as a regional technical coordinator, Chair.
Let's just get this out of the way. Is your appearance in this commission as a result of a summons that has been served on you?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. In what position are you currently employed at GTS?
I'm currently employed as a regional technical coordinator, Chair.
And who do you report to at GTS?
My immediate supervisor is Fezila.
Is this the position that you refer to, the same position that you held at the time of preparing the statement?
That is correct.
And for how long have you been employed with GTS?
I started at GTS in 2002, where before I went overseas in 2006, my responsibilities was as a regional technical coordinator, and then I was reporting to a gentleman by the name of Retief van der Merwe and Trevor Matendra.
And in the year 2006, why did you leave the employ of GTS?
Chair, I had, as I say, greener pastures out in the United Kingdom.
And you returned to GTS in the year 2008, is this correct?
That is correct, Chair.
At whose instance did you return to GTS?
Sorry, ma'am?
At whose instance did you return to GTS?
In 2008, I returned to South Africa to resume my responsibilities as a regional technical coordinator. I was asked to return after a call from the Chief Operations Officer, Angelo Grizzi. Part of my responsibilities, apart from the security installations, were to attend to the opening and closing of the office park, as well as to tend to the wildlife in the park. I had to make sure that orders were placed to give them feed and made sure that they were looked after at the park.
Okay, just to take you back, you earlier mentioned that GTS was previously Sondola IT, Pty Ltd, I assume.
That is correct, Chair.
So in the year 2002, you were in fact employed by Sondola IT.
Sondola IT.
Okay, and you say that what were your duties when you returned?
Can you repeat that question, ma'am?
What were your duties when you returned?
What was my duties when I returned?
Yes.
I resumed the responsibilities of as a regional technical coordinator.
And who did you report to?
I then reported to Trevor Matendra.
Say that again, please.
Trevor Matendra.
Thank you. And in paragraph 7 of your statement...
Sorry, Mr. Trevor Matendra is one of the directors of BOSASA, is that right?
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And in paragraph 7 of your statement on page 2, you set out there that you've always been a skilled employee in your field and that you did your work to the best of your ability and as instructed by the directors of BOSASA / African Global. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair.
And which company is African Global?
Sorry, can you repeat that question, ma'am?
African Global, referred to in paragraph 7. How does that fit within the scheme insofar as BOSASA or Sondola IT or GTS?
Well, it was originally called BOSASA, then it changed to African Global.
Thank you. In paragraph 8 of your statement, you introduce what is called special projects. Is this correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Chair, Mr. Roux will later give evidence of the properties of government officials and politicians whose properties were maintained by GTS. However, we will return to this property as he deals with it in much later paragraphs in detail. Please go with me to paragraph 9, where you set out your residential arrangement. Can you take the Chair through this, please?
Chair, my family resides at the company-owned premises since 2012 after Gavin Watson insisted I vacate the small holding I was residing at and move to the office park accommodation, as it suited him for me to attend to the wildlife and to keep an eye on the park for him. I was instructed to open and close the offices when Andrew, the caretaker, went on
Sorry,
leave.
Mr. Leroux.
Yes, Chair.
If you can, try and just tell us the story and not read your statement. But if you need to refresh your memory, you can have a look. But try and just tell us your story as naturally as you can.
Okay, Chair. Apologize, Chair.
Okay, all right.
My family resided in the company premises. We were told to vacate our small holding in Randfontein so that I could take care of the wildlife in the park and also to tend to the needs of the park when Andrew, the caretaker, would go on leave or he'd go on rest days. I was then instructed to open and close the offices when he was on leave or on rest days. And when he went on retirement, I was then asked to open and close the offices permanently on a permanent basis.
Okay, now you say that you stay with your family at the property. Who in particular?
Can you repeat that?
Who in particular do you stay with at the property?
My wife.
Is your wife also employed by GTS?
Yes, she is employed by African Global.
Are there any other members of your family employed by GTS?
Yes, my 2 sons are employed by GTS.
And you've just stated that it suited Mr. Gavin Watson that you stay on the company premises so that you can attend to the wildlife and to keep an eye on the park?
That's correct.
And you've just given evidence that you were later entrusted with opening and closing the offices.
That's correct, Chair.
Is this your current responsibility?
No, it's not my current responsibility. That was an extra responsibility that was added onto my duties.
And from when were you entrusted with this responsibility?
I can't remember the date, Chair.
Can you recall the year?
No, I don't want to put myself into and commit to a year.
Okay.
But it would be if we had to go back to the documentation.
Yeah, you can give an estimate if you think that might help.
Chair, it would have been probably in about 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
And you have also stated in paragraph 9 that you would open the offices sometimes during the weekends. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair.
You further state that this would be by instruction from some of the directors and Mr. Gavin Watson. Is this correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Ms.
You-
Molefe,
Pardon, Chair?
please try and let him give the evidence.
Certainly, Chair.
Yeah, put your questions such a way that he gives the evidence and
Certainly, Chair. Thank you very much. At whose instruction would you be opening and closing the offices?
It would be the Directorate of BOSASA.
And for what purpose would you be opening and closing the offices?
What would be required, Chair, is they would phone me up on either a Friday night or a Saturday morning, and they'd say that they've got a VIP visit coming through to the office park. I wouldn't know who the VIP was, and I would just be instructed to open up either the whole office park or certain offices within the park itself.
Yes, and you earlier said that you had been residing on the premises since 2012.
That is correct.
And you were later entrusted with opening and closing the offices since roughly 2013.
That's correct.
So you know the property fairly well.
I do, Chair.
Are you aware of any vaults in the premises?
I am aware of vaults in the premises, Chair. I'm aware of 4 vaults in the premises.
And where are they situated?
The one vault is situated in the Secretary's office. The other vault is situated close to the petty cash office. The one vault is situated in Gavin Watson's office, and the other vault is situated in the bid office where Jacques Van Zyl sits.
In paragraph 10 of your statement, you narrate events that took place in or around the 7th or the 8th of November 2017, is that correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Can you please tell the Chair what happened on one of these dates?
Chair, on the 7th to the 8th of November 2017, Gavin Watson gave me a call, which was not normal for him to give me a call, but he gave me a call which disturbed me quite a bit. He asked me where my loyalties laid within the organization. And
On the phone already.
Sorry, sir?
He was asking that on the phone.
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
I asked him what I had done wrong, all right? If he's asking me where does my loyalties lay at the end of the day, all right? And he didn't say much. He just said to me, I need to know where your loyalties lay. Chair, what he done was he just said to me, your loyalties, where do they lay? Do they lay with the company or do they lay with certain individuals?
Pardon me. And what was your response to Mr. Gavin Watson?
I just said to him, my response to him was, my loyalties lay with the company and not to any individual at the end of the day, because my loyalties laid with the personnel of the company, not with any directors or owners of companies or anything like that.
And do you know why Mr. Watson asked this question?
I do believe, Chair, that Johan Aubrey gave me a call. He's the Human Resources Manager. He asked me to come to his office, and he reiterated what Gavin Watson had said to me. And I said to him, but why is this coming to everybody's attention? He said to me that this was due to a Facebook comment that I had made on Angelo Grizzi's webpage. He posted something about some Christian message, and I said, Amen.
And pardon me?
Sorry. I would just like to reiterate, Chair.
You said amen and, yeah?
When I was in his office, he held up his cell phone and he said to me that this is the message that you posted on Angelo Grizzi's Facebook.
Who was saying that to you now?
Johan Aubrey, our Human Resources Manager.
What's his name?
Johan Aubrey.
Okay, yes.
Now, that was very concerning for me because I felt that my privacy had been invaded.
Okay, so in addition to Mr. Watson asking you about where your loyalties lie, you were asked the same question by Mr. Johan Aubrey.
That is correct.
And what position did Mr. Johan Aubrey hold?
He's the Human Resources Manager at African Global, Chair.
Yeah, before you proceed, let's go back to your conversation with Mr. Gavin Watson. Did you relate the whole conversation? You said you asked him what you had done wrong.
That's correct, Chair.
What was his response?
He never responded to me.
And is that how the
He just said to me,
conversation?
you need to know, you need to decide where your loyalties lay at the end of the day.
Yes, and then that was the end of the
That was the end
conversation.
of the conversation, sir.
And then sometime later, you say you got a call from the Human Resources Manager.
It was the very same day, Chair, that I got a call from Johan Aubrey.
Yes.
And he asked me to come into his office,
Yes.
and he reiterated what Gavin Watson had said to me
Yes.
because of a Facebook comment that I had made on Facebook to Angelo
Yes.
Grizzi.
Now, after the Human Resources Manager had shown you the Facebook message, what did you say and what did he say?
Chair, if I can recall, I said to him that I'm not happy with it. And he said to me that Angelo Grizzi's Facebook page, telephones, everything was being monitored by the IT department of African Global. I didn't want to get into it. I didn't want to entertain anything like that. But it just disturbed me at the end of the day. That on his phone he could show me the comment that I had made to Angelo Grizzi at the end of the day.
Yes, at that time, had Mr. Grizzi left BOSASA?
He had, Chair.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Molefe.
Thank you, Chair. Did you at any point during your conversation with Mr. Watson feel threatened?
Chair, Mr. Watson, he comes across as a very strong person. If Gavin phoned you, you would drop what you were doing and you would go and attend to whatever he wanted you to attend to. I felt threatened by Gavin Watson, yes, Chair.
And,
Sorry?
pardon me.
I said I felt threatened by Gavin Watson, definitely, Chair.
Yes,
He was
okay.
intimidating.
Okay.
And still on paragraph 10 of your statement, did Mr. Gavin Watson at any point threaten you directly?
No, he didn't, Chair. He only phoned me.
Well, you say here in paragraph 10 that he threatened me, that my family worked at BOSASA, and I needed to be careful. Did this or did this not happen?
Paragraph 10.
Paragraph 10 on page 2.
Oh, that is correct, Chair, but that was over the phone. He did threaten me that my family works there and I need to see where my loyalties lay.
Thank you. Moving on to paragraph 11 of your statement on page 3, you narrate events that took place on or about the 20th of November 2017, is this correct?
That is correct. It was on the 20th of November 2017.
What happened on this date?
At exactly 18:18, Chair, Gavin Watson called me and instructed me to go to Lindsay Watson first thing in the morning and to do an affidavit stating that Angelo Grizzi had instructed me to do the special projects that had been done to date, that everything was done under his instruction.
And what was your response to Mr. Gavin Watson's request or question?
My response, Chair, was I said to him, I don't want to get in between arguments between Angelo Grizzi and Gavin Watson.
This was about 3 days after his earlier call to you, where he asked you where your loyalties lay. Is that right?
It was
Or
quite
this
a few days. It was quite a few days after, Chair.
Or it was a few weeks after
It was about
that?
2 weeks after that,
About
Chair.
2 weeks after that. Okay.
You've just stated that you didn't want to get in between arguments
Between Gavin Watson and Angelo Grizzi.
And why did you say that?
Well, it would have been incorrect to be untruthful at the end of the day. I mean, they were having a fight between the two of them, and I wasn't prepared to get involved in their arguments or what their disputes were at the end of the day. And it wouldn't be fair of me to go and do a statement like that when it's untruthful.
When what is untruthful?
Where Angelo Grizzi instructed me to do special projects. It wasn't only Angelo Grizzi that instructed me to do special projects.
Who else instructed you?
Gavin Watson and the directorate of the company.
And who?
And the directorate of the company.
Can you state who the other directorate members were?
I acted under instructions from Gavin Watson, Angelo Grizzi, Papale Shabani, Joe Gamedi, Trevor Matenjwa, and Sivion Glamini. And sorry, Chair, I've stated that in RLR 011.
Yes, so your unpreparedness to depose to the kind of affidavit that Mr. Gavin Watson wanted you to depose to was not because Mr. Grizzi had never instructed you to carry out what you call special projects, but your objection was that as you understood the instruction, you were being required to depose to an affidavit where you would say it was only him who had given you those instructions.
That is correct, Chair. And that is what I didn't want to do because it would be untruthful at the end of the day.
Thank you.
So having received this request from Mr. Gavin Watson to go to Lindsay Watson, what then happened after?
I said I didn't want to get between arguments, and it would be incorrect of me and untruthful to say that Angelo Grizzi had instructed me to do the special projects. This was not the truth. I'd been primarily instructed by Gavin Watson, Angelo Grizzi, and other directors to attend to those special projects.
Okay,
But
and
let's talk about the conversation between you and Mr. Gavin Watson. He calls you, he gives you this instruction, you respond that you don't want to get involved, and then how did the conversation end? How did it proceed beyond that, or what happened?
No, Chair, didn't proceed beyond that.
He seemed to accept what you said, or he left you alone?
No, he just left me alone, Chair.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And did you receive any further communication about this instruction?
I did, Chair. I received a missed call from Lindsay Watson at 19:14. I was not able to answer the phone.
And she was she the daughter?
She is the daughter of Mr. Gavin Watson.
Watson. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. And this is what is stated at paragraph 12.1 of your statement.
That is correct, Chair.
Chair, Mr. Roux had attached what he calls phone records. However, they were not attached to the statement. I have since received them from the investigators, and I would beg leave to hand them up. There will be other several documents that I would wish to hand up, and so I'm seeking direction from the Chair whether I hand up the documents as and when the evidence is led.
But were they supposed to have been annexures to the affidavit?
They were, Chair.
So the affidavit does refer to them?
Paragraph 12.1 refers to phone records. However, since the precognition of Mr. Roux, he had wished to add 3 further documents.
Okay, no, I just want to clear up one thing. Are we talking about documents that should have been annexed to the affidavit but were not annexed, or are we talking about documents that were not meant to be annexed to the affidavit, but that you wish to hand up?
It's the former, Chair. There are documents that Mr. Roux wishes to be annexed to the statement, which he speaks to throughout the statement.
Which were not annexed and should have been annexed?
Certainly so, Chair.
Okay. He would have seen them by now, so it's a question of attaching them to the affidavit.
Indeed so, Chair.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's in order.
Thank you, Chair.
Do you have them ready?
I do.
Yeah.
Chair, for the ease of reference, I've flagged all the documents for both the Chair and Mr. Roux, and will refer to during the course of his evidence. They are flagged RR1 to RR4 individually.
Does the affidavit say they are annexed as annexure what, or does it not?
No, Chair, it does not. If I can refer the Chair to paragraph 12.1 as an example, there Mr. Roux says that phone records are attached here too. The naming of the annexures is the proposal from the legal team.
I think let's deal with them separately for now. And then you must decide later on whether it wouldn't be more appropriate to either deal with them separately from the affidavit or to do a supplementary affidavit that just says that deals with them. So you can decide which one you want to do later. We can deal with them separately now and not as part of the affidavit. And then later on, you can decide whether they should remain separate from the affidavit or whether a supplementary affidavit will be done by the witness to which those annexures will be attached, because from what you are telling me, they are not referred to, they are not marked. You know, the affidavit doesn't say it's going to be annexure what. So when you attach them without that, it could cause confusion. It might be cleaner if we either deal with them separately as exhibits, or later on you can attach them to a supplementary affidavit that explains them.
Certainly, Chair. I am instructed by Mr. Pretorius that a supplementary affidavit may be filed in due course.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But we can deal with them now on that understanding that a supplementary affidavit can be made, And then the annexure, what annexure they will be then we must use the same annexures or annexure name to identify them as you will use in the supplementary affidavit.
Certainly, Chair, we will do so.
Okay,
Might I beg leave to hand them up?
okay.
One is for the Chair and the other is... Thank you, Chair. One copy is being handed up to you, and another copy is being handed up to Mr. Roux.
Thank you.
Mr. Leroux, the document that is in front of you, is that the document that you referred to in paragraph 12.1?
That is correct, Chair.
And
I see that you have marked the document RR1. Is that what you are going to use throughout?
indeed so, Chair.
Oh, okay. I think maybe you can just mention so that the transcript will reflect that we are talking about RR1.
Certainly, Chair, thank you. This document, Mr. Leroux, is the document that is marked RR1, and this is the document that will be contained in your supplementary affidavit as RR1. And you've just confirmed that this is the document that you refer to in paragraph 12.1.
That is correct, Chair.
And can you explain what this document is?
Chair, it basically says that I got a missed call from Lindsay Watson. I tried again on the 21st of November.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Leroux. There are 2 pages of that annexure. When you say that the document shows that you had a missed call from Ms. Lindsay Watson, can you clarify if that is on the first page or the second page of the document before you marked RR1?
It is on the second page, Chair.
Yes.
Yes, please proceed. There are 2...
What tells me this is a missed call here? I don't see anything written missed call, or there is missed at the top. Is that what you're talking about? On the left-hand side of the word edit, in the second page, is that what you're talking about? When you say you noticed that there was a missed call from Lindsay Watson.
That is correct, Chair.
How do you see that who the missed call was from on the document?
Chair, this copy that's here, it doesn't, where it says Lindsay Watson other, all right?
Sorry?
Where it says Lindsay Watson other,
there-
I took that to be the missed call.
Sorry, I need to interrupt you. Can you point us from the top and all the entries that are listed there where Lindsay Watson other is listed? Starting with that number that is 011, the second being wife, can you count down
Well,
further?
yeah. I see Lindsay Watson as number 3 from the bottom on the second page. Is that what you're talking about?
That is correct, Chair. I took that as the missed call from Lindsay Watson.
Are those all missed calls that appear on?
No, Chair, there's some missed calls and made calls.
My question is, how do you see that it is a missed call? There is no missed call. There's no word missed or missed call next to Lindsay Watson.
No, Chair, there
What
isn't.
tells you it's a missed call?
Only my recollection, Chair.
Oh, so this doesn't help us with that.
It doesn't tell you whether it's a missed call or a made call.
Okay.
But it shows the list of calls either received or made or possibly missed, as is your
Missed,
evidence.
yes.
And you had informed, I'm made aware that you've informed the investigators that phone records from the network providers can be procured should this
can.
become a contentious issue.
They can be procured, Chair.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Just repeat that question and the answer.
I am informed by the investigators that you had stated that the phone records can be obtained from the cellular phone network providers. Is this correct?
That is correct, Chair, from Vodacom.
And you would be able to show whether the call was missed and who it was missed from.
Well, yes, because it'll, on the actual statement itself, it'll tell you whether it's a missed call or a made call.
And it will show the number of the person whose call was missed or made.
It'll show the number, it won't show the name.
So,
This name is the name that comes off the phone.
but it will show the number.
It will show the number, yes.
Chair, this can be ascertained by investigators through the network service providers.
Yeah, that's fine. But does this document help us with anything?
Well, as is Mr. Leroux's evidence, this is the document that he attached as phone records where he says that he tried to show that he received a missed call from Ms. Watson, and he further said that the list of entries appearing there are either calls that were made or missed.
Yeah,
Made,
but
received,
does
or
it-
missed.
But does it help us? I thought he does say that it's his recollection whether that call from Lindsay Watson was a missed call or not because the document helps him with that.
Pardon me, Chair. Apologies, Chair. As Mr. Leroux has stated, Chair, the document shows that there was communication with Ms. Lindsay Watson, whether it be having missed the call from Ms. Watson or having received the call. And as I have been informed by investigators, this can be corroborated through the cellular network providers.
Well, I can't remember some of the other things that he says in his affidavit. I don't know if there is anything of crucial importance about that call, whether it happened or it didn't happen. I leave it to you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Leroux, you stated at paragraph 12.1 rather that you received a missed call from Ms. Lindsay Watson. Is that not correct?
That is correct, Chair.
And what then happened after you missed this call?
The morning after, Chair, on the 21st of November at 6:36, I called Lindsay Watson. The call was not answered. I then tried again at 6:45. I called her again and she answered, and she said that I had to come and see her with regards to an affidavit that her father said I must come and do with her.
And did you go and see Ms. Lindsay Watson as you had requested?
I did not go and see her, no, Chair.
And what did you say in response to Ms. Lindsay Watson?
Chair, I said to her that I was not comfortable with doing the affidavit against Angelo Grizzi because it would, in fact, be unlawful to say that Angelo Grizzi is the one that gave me the instructions when the instructions came from Gavin Watson, the directorate, and Angelo Grizzi.
So did you refuse to make the statement?
I did refuse to make a statement.
Did you eventually have to make the statement?
I did, Chair, have to make a statement, yes.
Please explain how this came about.
I was getting pressure from Lindsay Watson and Gavin Watson. You know, the phone call the previous day from Gavin to say that I had to do this. What I done was, because I was working for GTS.
Yeah, let's get the story to connect properly. You called Miss Lindsay Watson at 6:36 on the 21st November 27, and she did not answer.
That's correct, Chair.
And then you called her again at 6:45, same morning, and she answered.
That's correct, Chair.
And then she said to you, you had to come and do an affidavit.
That's correct, Chair.
You understood that the affidavit she was talking about was an affidavit in which you would put all blame on Mr. Grizzly
That is correct, Chair.
as being the person who had given instructions to you to carry out the special projects,
That's correct, Chair.
and you refused.
I did refuse, Chair.
Let's complete that conversation. What did she say when you refused? Let's get a complete picture.
Chair, what she said to me was that Gavin Watson and BOSASA paid my salary, and I had to comply with what her father had said. And I said to her, it would not be honest or truthful for me to do an affidavit in that state to say that Angelo Grizzi had given me the instruction to do the special projects. I said it would be unlawful and it wouldn't be truthful.
Yes, and what was her response? Just give us the conversation until you ended and how you ended, how that conversation
From what my
ended.
recollection can be, Chair, is she then turned around and said to me that I need to be aware that BOSASA pays my salary and Gavin Watson pays my salary, all right? And that I had a loyalty to the company at the end of the day and to Gavin Watson, all right? And I just said to her, Chair, I would not be happy signing that thing and doing it of free will at the end of the day.
And is that how the conversation ended?
Ended, yes, Chair.
And then what followed after that?
Chair, I then approached Angelo Grizzi, all right, and I gave him a phone call, and I said to him that this is what Gavin wants me to do, and I said to him it would not be ethical or it would be lying at the end of the day to say that he is the one that instructed me, all right. I'm not saying that he didn't instruct me, but the instructions came from ultimately Gavin Watson, Angelo Grizzi, and the director of the company. He then said to me, not a problem, come and see me, all right, and let's do another statement to say that you were under stress and duress to make the statement.
That is now Mr. Grizzi saying that to you.
That's correct, Chair. All right, because he also felt that it was wrong.
But just repeat what you say he said to you.
What he said to me, Chair, is that it was very wrong of them to ask me to do a statement like that because it would be it would be not truthful at the end of the day.
Yes. And then he said you must come to him for what purpose?
Come to his place so that we can do a statement, give it to Lindsay Watson and to Gavin Watson, all right? He said, at the end of the day, to take stress off you because you're working for the company, all right? And the stress there is quite a lot. He said to me that, come, we'll do something, we'll put I have got a statement that I've given to the investigators where I've signed what she requested from me.
Okay, all right. Ms. Molefe, you can take it from there.
Thank you, Chair. You've mentioned that there is a document that you'd handed over rather to the investigators.
That is correct.
And this document would be the statement that you state you prepared with Mr. Angelo Grizzi.
That is correct, Chair.
Chair, this is the second document that I would beg leave to hand up.
Okay, thank you. This one is marked RR2.
Certainly, Chair.
Is this referred to in the affidavit?
The statement itself is referred to under paragraph 14 of the statement, and
Okay.
Mr. Leroux has also just given evidence about the statement. Mr. Leroux, the document that is placed before you, marked RR2, can you explain what that document is?
Chair, this is the document that Lindsay and Gavin Watson instructed me to do.
And what is contained in the statement?
It basically just says, statement from Richard LaRue. I, Richard LaRue, resident of Summerfield Village, hereby state that Angelo Grizzi, the ex-Chief Operations Officer, instructed me and my team to do special projects at various sites.
What does the statement further say?
The above is true and binding on me. Signed, I signed this the 20th November 2017 at Rudaput.
And to whom was the statement directed?
To Lindsay Watson and Gavin Watson.
And is that what appears at the top of the document? There is a statement to, and it's written L. Watson. Does L stand for Lindsay?
It does, Chair.
And you've said it was also directed to Mr. Gavin Watson.
That is correct, Chair.
Who prepared the statement?
Chair, Angelo Grizzi helped me to prepare this statement.
Oh, okay. That same day that you called him,
The day after, Chair.
the day after. Okay. And between the time when you had a conversation with Miss Lindsay Watson and the preparation of the statement, neither Mr. Gavin Watson nor Miss Lindsay Watson had called you.
That is correct, Chair. They never phoned me again.
Yes. Okay, all right. You may proceed, Ms. Malifa.
Thank you, Chair. Were there any further discussions between yourself and Mr. Angelo Agrizzi about the statement?
No, there wasn't, Chair.
Now, you have earlier testified that the instruction from Miss Lindsay Watson, and Mr. Gavin Watson that you depose to such an affidavit resulted in you making a false statement, in that Mr. Agrizzi was not the only one who gave you instructions insofar as the special project.
Well, yes, Chair, because the statement in my eyes was not the truth at the end of the day.
And did you do anything about this untruth insofar as the statement?
We made
Maybe
an,
before that, was the statement after you had signed it given or sent to Mr. Watson or Miss Lindsay Watson?
Chair, if I can recall, I think I emailed it through to Lindsay Watson.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And did you do anything further in respect of the statement that you said you emailed to Ms. Lindsay Watson?
No, I've done nothing further.
Did you ever amend the statement at any point?
I did, Chair.
In what way?
In a way that I said that I had done it under duress, under pressure. You have got another statement, your investigators, and it was signed by 2 witnesses as well.
And did you prepare a separate statement in this respect?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Did you prepare a separate statement in this respect?
That is correct.
The statement itself, was there any changes made on the statement?
No, no changes were made on the statement. It was only a handwritten underneath the statement about that I was put under pressure and I was doing it under duress.
And this is the document you state to have given to the investigators?
That is correct, Chair.
Chair, I beg leave to hand up this document.
Do we not have the statement somewhere? I seem to have seen both statements. Or were they also annexed to Mr. Agrizzi's affidavit? I have seen them, both of them.
They were, Chair. However, a decision was
Oh, they are
taken
not- they are not attached here.
Indeed.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. I beg
You-
leave to
you may
hand up the
it up,
documents.
yeah. This one is marked RR3.
Indeed so, Chair.
Did you make a copy of the statement that you sent to Miss Lindsay Watson, namely RR2, and then write at the bottom thereof by hand?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, you may proceed, Ms. Mlefe.
Thank you, Chair. And the document before you marked RR3, which has handwritten notes at the bottom of what was the contents of RR2, are those the handwritten notes you referred to?
Do you want me to read the
No,
content?
first answer, are those the handwritten notes that you earlier referred to?
That is correct, Chair.
And whose handwritten note is that?
The 21st of November 2017, 10:35, sent to BOSASA Lindsay Watson after pressure to do a false affidavit, therefore not of any effect. Witnessed Andries van Tonder and Leon van Tonder.
Okay, who made this note?
Angela Gritzi did so.
And
I'm sorry, who made the note?
Angela Gritzi, Chair.
Okay.
And did you agree to the what is stated in that handwritten note?
I did agree, Chair.
The signatures that appear as handwritten, there's a signature just on the far right of the document next to the date. Whose signature is that?
It is my signature, Chair.
And you earlier stated that the document was witnessed by Mr. Andries van Tonder.
That is correct, Chair.
And is that his signature next to his name?
That is correct, Chair.
You also stated that the document was witnessed by Leon van Tonder.
That is correct, Chair.
And is that his signature next to his name?
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you.
So this note was made a day after you had signed, excuse me, the one that you sent to Miss Lindsay Watson.
That is correct, Chair.
How did this come about, the making of this note here? Whose idea was it? How did it come about that a note must be made on
Chair,
this?
I asked Angela for advice because I'm not a lawyer at the end of the day. I do not know the law that well. And I just said to him, Angela, I need your help because at the end of the day, what I'm doing, all right, is not lawful at the end of the day. And I don't want to, can I be frank, Chair? I said to Angela straight, if I had said that he was the one that instructed me to do special projects, he would have dragged me through the courts for how many years thereafter? I don't have the money for the courts at the end of the day. If I had said Gavin Watson had instructed me, he would have also dragged me through the courts for I don't know how many years thereafter. So that's why I said to him, it would have been very untruthful to say it was either this party or that party, because it was not, it was both parties and the directorate of the company that instructed me to do special projects.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And this note that was made here, was it shown to Mr. Gavin Watson or Mr. Lindsay Watson?
No, it wasn't, Chair.
Was it just left to be in the document?
It was just left to be in the document, Chair.
Yeah, okay.
Because if I had sent this document through, Chair,
Yeah,
I'm still working at the company. I would have got pressure right from the word go again. I was just
Yes.
trying to alleviate pressure and on me at the end of the day. That's what I was trying to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So just to make sure that we have this correctly, the statement without the handwritten notes marked RR2, that was submitted to Ms. Lindsay Watson and Mr. Gavin Watson.
That is correct, Chair.
And the statement with the handwritten notes on it marked RR3, that was kept by yourself, or was it kept by Mr. Agrizi, or did you both have copies?
It was kept by myself and by Mr. Gritzi.
And the statement with the handwritten notes was never handed over to either Ms. Lindsay Watson or Mr. Gavin Watson?
To my recollection, no, Chair.
That's fine. And did you do anything further in respect of these statements and the contents of these statements?
No, Chair.
the note that was made there to say that the earlier statement of the 20th of November had been made under pressure, was that intended to help you in case later on Mr. Gavin Watson used your statement RR2 to say Mr. Agrisi was the only one who gave you instructions about special projects?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Can we then move on to paragraph 15 of your statement, where you set out events since returning from the United Kingdom? Can you tell the Chair what happened once you returned from the UK to GTS?
During the course of my employment at the BOSASA Group of Companies, and since returning from the United Kingdom, I was in charge of the head office's security cameras. I was in charge of the maintenance of the server itself, the camera server, not the IT service, just the camera server, and the footage of that server.
Okay, so it's BOSASA Group, not GTS.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
It's BOSASA Group and not GTS.
The BOSASA Group and GTS.
Okay, and you say that you were in charge of maintenance of the cameras?
The camera systems at the office park.
In what respect?
I was in charge of the server. I was in charge to make sure that the server ran smoothly, to make sure that the cameras were always operational.
Okay, and in paragraph 16 of your statement on page 4, you then set out events relating to an instruction. Can you please tell the Chair about this instruction?
Chair, I was instructed on numerous occasions when the office park was visited by VIP guests or VVIP guests, that after the visit, it was instructed by Gavin Watson or Angelo Grizzi to delete the footage of that visit and to delete the cameras, the camera server.
Yes, and you say this instruction was from Mr. Gavin Watson and Mr. Angelo Grizzi.
Or Angelo Grizzi.
And the VIP or VVIP guests that you refer to, can you recall who these were?
In this paragraph now, I can't recall who they were.
Well, did you later come to know who these VIP and VVIP guests were?
No.
Pardon?
No.
And do you recall when these visits took place?
I don't recall. They would sometimes take place once a week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes once a month.
Now, were you told why you should delete the footage and the server, well, information on the server?
I was just told to delete it, and I complied with the instruction given by my employer.
Did you know whether the so-called VIPs and VVIP guests were government officials, or some of them?
Chair, I would have no idea. But I am sure if it's VIP or if it was VVIP, all right, because the VVIP was the very, very important visitors, I would have presumed it would be from government. But I can't be 100% certain.
You came back from, did you say the UK? In
The United Kingdom, yes, Chair.
2006?
2008.
2008.
That's correct, Chair.
And when you came back, part of your job was to maintain and look after the cameras that we're talking about.
The camera server, yes, Chair.
Yeah. And from that time, okay, let me ask this question. As of now, is that still your responsibility?
No, Chair, it's not. That responsibility was taken away from me.
When was it taken away from you? More or less.
It was in the beginning of about 2017. I was instructed by Gavin Watson
Yes.
to hand over all the passwords and codes
Yes.
to Rian Saliers of Intelivit, a company within the BOSASA African Global Group, as it was said, that I could not be trusted anymore.
Okay. And did you say that the visits by these VIP guests and VVIP guests happened regularly, once a week, sometimes twice a week?
Chair, sometimes it was 2-3 times a week.
Yeah,
Sometimes we'd have a week where we wouldn't have visitors at all.
yes.
I was just instructed that what would happen was there would be a circulation of an email that would go out to the whole company, that there would be a VIP visit and everybody had to be on their stations.
Yes.
All right. And if there was a VIP visit, all right, then we would have to have people in the workshop, and so that we could promote the workshop and demonstrate the workshop, for example. All right. But sometimes, like I said, there would be no visits. But if there was a VIP visit or a VVIP visit, there was a circulation that was sent out by the company.
When the VIP guests or VVIP guests were on the premises, were you required to be there with them, or you had to go on with your other duties?
I carried on with my normal duties, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
And in your normal duties, Mr. Leroux, in being entrusted with the cameras and servers, would you ever see the camera footage?
I would not look at the camera footage, Chair, no, because I didn't have time to look at camera footage or anything like that. I just deleted the database and I recreated the database.
So was there at any point that you looked at the camera footage where you saw who the VIP guests were?
Yes, there was.
And who had you seen?
I had seen the then President Jacob Zuma, accompanied by Dudu Moyeni and Becky Clearly.
And can you recall what year this was?
I cannot recall which year this was. It was a visit to the office park on a Saturday morning.
And you earlier stated that there was footage that you had to delete. Was this one of the footages that you had to delete?
That is correct, Chair. I had to wait until the visit was finished, and I had to clear the database then and there. I was not allowed to wait till Monday morning. I had to clear the database that afternoon still.
And when you would delete this footage, was any copy kept by any person of the footage?
No, no copies were made.
So once you've deleted it, it's completely gone even from the server?
That is correct, Chair.
Now, in paragraph 19 of your statement, you speak again about special projects. What were these special projects?
Well, firstly, that's the procedures that had to be done, all right? The procedure to do a special project was I would be phoned by either Gavin Watson or Angelo Grizzi, and I would be told to go and do a site survey. We would then...
Maybe that the best way to explain them might involve stating the procedure, but the question was, what were the special projects? If you are able to say the special projects were A, B, C, D, that's what you should say. And then when she wants the procedure that you followed in carrying out the special projects, she will ask you, do you want to deal with the question, what were the special projects?
The special projects were ministers and high-ranking ANC officials.
When you say the special projects were ministers and high-ranking officials, what do you mean? How were they a project, or how was anything concerning them a special project?
I'm not sure of the
In
question.
other words, maybe let's put it this way. A project is something where you do something. So is there anything that you did or you were supposed to do when you talk about special projects and ministers? If there was, what was that?
Chair,
Perhaps if I can assist, what would you do either for or in respect of the ministers and high-ranking
we would
officials
install
you've referred to?
CCTV camera systems, alarm systems, electric fencing.
And where would you install
okay.
them?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Chair.
just repeat that you started answering while she was still talking. So just say
What
that
we
again.
would do on those special projects
Yes,
is
yes.
CCTV, IP camera systems, alarm systems with beams. We would take care of maintenance around the property on some of the properties, not all of the properties. We would do electric fencing on the properties. Does that answer your question, Chair?
When you say in the properties, are you talking about the minister's homes?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
And you earlier said that these special projects were undertaken at the instruction of someone who instructed that these special projects be undertaken.
Gavin Watson, Chair.
Was it only Mr. Gavin Watson?
Angelo Grizzi and the Directorate.
And you were earlier setting out the procedure relative to special projects, and we will later deal with the specific projects that you've set out in your statements. What would be the procedure of initiating a special project?
Well, firstly, I'd get a phone call from either Gavin Watson or Angelo Grizzi. I would then be tasked to go and do a site survey, Chair, to determine what was needed. All right. I would then come back, get the relevant quotes from the suppliers. All right. I would then take that information to Angelo Grizzi. All right. I just want to clarify one thing, Chair. If Angelo Grizzi's signature was not on the document,
Yes.
nothing would get paid.
You did not get paid.
No, nothing would get paid. No supplier would be paid or anything like that.
Okay.
He had to sign off everything and anything that had to do with special projects. At the end of the
Okay.
day. And that was under instruction
Yes.
from Gavin Watson. I would then take that to Angelo Grizzi. He would go through it, double check it, make sure. All right. I would then take that documentation to Jacques van Zyl, and he would then give me the cash to do the project.
And were these special projects part of your work responsibilities?
Yes, it was, Chair, amongst other responsibilities as well. Normal day-to-day responsibilities, looking after Landela Repatriation Centre, the youth centres on the technical side.
So you receive an instruction from either Mr. Watson, Mr. Agrizzi, or any of the other directors
That's correct.
in respect of which property to attend to and what work is to be done.
That is correct, Chair.
So how do you then fit into the execution of the special project?
Well, I was the head of special projects, Chair.
And what did your specific functions entail?
My specific functions entailed that I got the quotes, done the surveys, got the technicians together. We would go to the site. I would be at every single site with the technicians. We would start the project, finish the project, and hand the project over.
And
You had a team under you that worked with you on special projects.
Sorry, Chair?
You had a team
I had a team underneath
under
me, Chair.
you that
That's
worked
correct.
with you on your special projects.
That's correct, Chair.
Would that have been the same team that you had for your other responsibilities, or was there just a special
It
team?
would have been the same team, Chair.
It would be the same team?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Now, in respect of the process that would unfold insofar as each individual project, you earlier stated that you had to get written instruction, or signature rather, from Mr. Agrizzi.
That is correct, Chair.
And what would be the process insofar as quotations for whatever supplies would be needed at a specific special project?
Could you repeat the question?
Would you get any quotations? How would you?
I would get the quotations, yes.
And that's how you would get the supplies for the special projects.
That's correct.
What would you then do with the quotations?
They would then be taken to Angelo Grizzi for signature and to be checked.
And who would purchase the actual supplies?
I would purchase it myself.
And did you use your own money to purchase the supplies?
No, it would be given to me in cash by the company.
Is there anyone in specific at the company who would give you the cash for these special projects?
Yes, Chair, Jacques van Zyl.
Jacques van Zyl.
That is correct.
And Jacques van Zyl, is he also one of the directors?
No, he's not, Chair.
What was his position again?
Chair, he was an accountant, then he moved to the bid office, and then he moved over to security, and I think he's moved back to my recollection, I think he's moved back to the bid office now. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. But at the time that you are talking about, when you carried out these special projects, he was an accountant in the company in BOSASA.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
Did you collect the cash personally from Mr. Jacques van Zyl?
I did, Chair.
And do you know where he got the cash from?
Chair, it would either come from his safe at the bid office. If he was short of the money, or let me explain what happened is, I would first go to him with the quotes after Angelo Grizzi had signed. He would then ask me when I needed the money by. If I needed the money that afternoon or the following morning, he would then get the money to me that afternoon, or he'd get the money to me the very next morning. If he was short of money, he would then request from the petty cash office, and he would put it down to an IOU or entertainment. If he was short of maybe 20 or 30 or 40,000 rand at the end of the day.
Was there ever any instance where all the cash for special projects was collected only from petty cash?
No, there wasn't, Chair.
So is it only, if I understand it correctly, it is only when he was short of the money that he had in the safe that you would then receive the rest of the money from petty cash?
That is correct, Chair.
And this would be on Mr. Jacques van Zyl's direction?
That is correct, Chair.
Insofar as the paperwork relative to special projects, do you know what happened to the papers?
To the paperwork itself.
Yes.
Chair, after every project, the paperwork would be given to Angelo Grizzi, the invoices, the quotations, the IP addresses of the premises, the passwords, everything to do with that project would be handed to Angelo Grizzi in an envelope, and that's where I'd leave it.
Would the paperwork relating to a special project refer in any way to the official or cabinet minister whose home
Chair,
you had to...
the accounts were opened...
Hang on.
Sorry, Chair.
Wait until I've
Apologies.
finished.
Apologies.
Would the paperwork relating to a special project concerning a particular government official or cabinet minister reflect his or her name, or would it reflect also the address of the premises where the special project had been carried out?
No, Chair. The invoices, we would open cash account invoices at the relevant suppliers, all right? But on the invoices, there were serial numbers. So those serial numbers, we would be able to go back and point out for example, at this residence, the serial numbers that are allocated to that residence would be allocated on the invoice at the end of the day.
Did you say 7 numbers?
Serial numbers, yes, Chair.
Digits like 1, 2, 3?
That's correct, Chair.
So
it'll be, for example, serial number XYZ 123 X678, for example.
Would then
That would be from the supplier.
Okay, hang on. Would that tell you whose residence they related to in terms of
No, it
the
wouldn't,
minister
Chair.
or?
It wouldn't. What we used to do on the invoice is we would give the projects a name.
Yes.
Can I give an example?
Yeah,
Yes.
would do an example.
For example, Vincent Smith, we used that project name as Project Jones.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And we would then refer everything to, if Mr. Smith used to phone or there was a request, we would say Project Jones needs ABCD.
Oh, okay. You
All
would
right. And
avoid
on
mentioning the name.
That's correct. Because it was said to me that at all costs, nothing must reflect back to BOSASA at the end of the day.
Yes, okay. Ms. Malefe?
Thank you, Chair. I'm informed that it's time for the short adjournment, and if this is a convenient time, might we take the short adjournment?
Okay, we'll take the tea adjournment. We'll resume at 11:30. Thank you. We adjourn.
Sotela ngura batho ba bontratela zona ba account ya gender o romela message go 7 days Anthony.
Please, Ms. Molefe.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Leroux, we are now moving to the part of your...
Sorry, Chair, can I just clear up
Yes.
something quickly? I just want to tell you how, you were asking the question about special projects and how it was set up.
Yes.
All right. I just want to bring to your attention that special projects, how we set it up was we were given unbranded vehicles, all right?
Unbranded. vehicles,
Vehicles.
Yeah.
There was no, the registration numbers were just normal registration numbers. It wasn't like the normal Sondolo IT vehicles, where it had like SON 181 or SON 101. And we
Yes.
were also, when we were doing the special projects, we were also tasked that we were not allowed to wear any uniform. We had to wear civilian clothing.
Okay.
So that nothing, not even the vehicles,
Yes.
could get pointed back to Sondolo IT at
Okay.
all the BOSASA group at the end of the day.
Okay. The special projects were all carried out in the name of Sondolo or by Sondolo IT, even though you were not allowed to wear anything clothing that reflected Sondolo or BOSASA, and even though the vehicles that you used, the instruction was that they were not to have any
Branding
writing
at all.
or branding reflecting Sondolo or BOSASA.
That is correct, Chair.
The special projects, were they carried out only in respect of government ministers and officials, or did you carry them out in respect of other people that the company considered to be VIPs or VVIPs other than government officials and ministers?
I was only given that instruction by Gavin Watson, Angelo Grizzi, and the Directorate, Chair.
And
I had to carry-
the only people who would benefit from the special projects would be government ministers and officials.
I'm not 100% sure of that, Chair. I was just instructed to go and do what I had to do.
Yes.
And I had to go and do a site survey
Yes.
and bring back the paperwork, and then we would go and do the installation and hand all
Yes.
the paperwork back over.
Oh,
I don't know.
But you got to know who the owner of the residence was.
That
as
is
you
correct,
did.
Chair, as the time went on, because
Yeah.
the installations wouldn't take one day.
Yes.
It would take a couple of days, maybe a week, 2 weeks at most.
Yes. After all, you were the one, weren't you, who would give the name to the project relating to a particular residence.
That is correct, Chair.
And you said sometimes you'd use the name of the owner of the residence.
It would
Sometimes
be
you'd
the
use a
surname or
different
maybe
name.
just a
Yes.
first name, but
Yes.
it would never be a full name at the end of the day.
Yes,
Or it would be
yes.
a name that I thought up in my mind.
Yeah.
Or it would be an area.
Yeah,
where
so
that
you would
person was
know,
living.
you would know the name of the owner or surname.
That is correct, Chair.
Yeah, and sometimes it would happen that you know that that person is a cabinet minister or
Chair, I don't
not.
know the ranks in the, I would just be given a name, basically.
Okay, all right.
But I just wanted to clarify that that's how we operated, with the
Yes.
unbranded vehicles, with the
Yes.
civilian clothing.
Yes.
Look, we still wore our normal Sondolo clothing when we were performing our normal duties.
Yes.
But when we were tasked to do special projects,
Yes.
it was that nothing would get pointed back to BOSASA at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leroux. We're now moving to the specific projects that is set out from your statement in paragraph 22. You have a heading there called Project Bloedberg. Is this correct?
That is correct, Chair.
How did this name come about?
This residence is in Krugersdorp, and it is in Noordheuvel, and I just used the name Bloedberg. I don't want to obviously say why I used the name Bloedberg, but that was the name that came up, Bloedberg.
Is it because you think it might reveal
Yes, Chair.
for security reasons?
That's it, Chair.
Yeah, okay, all right.
That's fine. And in respect of whose property was this project undertaken?
This property belonged to Nomvulo Mokonyane.
And when was this project undertaken?
I was contacted in 2013 by Gavin Watson, He instructed me to meet him and Angelo Grizzi at the premises of Nomvula Mokonyane.
And did you meet Mr. Gavin Watson and Mr. Agrizzi at the property of Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane?
I did, Chair.
And you say this was around 2013?
2013, yes.
You've earlier stated...
1 second. Had you been there before?
No, Chair.
This was your first time?
It was the first time.
Okay, all right.
I was given an address and I was told that's where you need to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And you've earlier stated that the area was situated in Noordhavel.
Krugersdorp, Noordhavel, yes, that's correct.
Thank you. And do you know whether Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane occupied any position in government in or around the year 2013?
At that stage, I was not aware.
And what work had to be done at the property?
Chair, basically what Gavin instructed me to do was he instructed me to look at the electric fence, the CCTV system, the generator, the distribution board, because they were having problems with things tripping, the pool pump, the swimming pool, which was going green all the time, which was due to the pool pump, and we had to install a distribution board there. We also had to do a garden cleanup there.
When you were at the property, and you earlier stated that you were informed by Mr. Gavin Watson and Mr. Agrizzi to meet them at the property, are they the ones who gave you the specific instructions of what had to be done on the property?
That is correct, Chair.
Was Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane there?
I am not sure, Chair. I was only there with Gavin Watson and Angelo Grizzi.
So how did you know that it was Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane's property?
I was told by Angelo Grizzi and Gavin Watson that it's Nomvula Mokonyane's property.
And did you go with anyone to the property? Your earlier evidence was that they were colleagues who were working with you.
No, Chair, I was on my own that day.
Now, in paragraph 24, on page 5 of your statement, you speak of specific instructions that you were given. Who gave you these specific instructions?
Gavin Watson, Chair.
And what was the specific instruction?
I was told by Gavin Watson that this house, you make sure that if there's anything that is needed, you just fix it and call Angela and keep him informed and up to date. But you just get it fixed and done immediately.
And can you recall over which period you maintained the property? Did you go there once, or was it over periods of time?
It was over a period of years, Chair.
Over a period of years.
Up until I went on leave, we were still, well, up until I was taken off special projects.
What year was that?
That would have been in early 2017.
And you earlier stated that this project commenced in or around the year 2013.
2013, that's correct, Chair.
So did it continue
It was ongoing maintenance at the premises.
between 2013 and until you were taken off special projects?
That's correct, up until 2017.
Well, let's go back a little bit. On your first visit to this residence, on that day, you had been instructed, or you were instructed to do a number of things which you have mentioned.
That is correct, Chair.
Did you do them?
Not straight away, Chair, but we got it done, yes.
Yeah, in the next few days, or when were they done?
Well, Chair, it took us about a week. Maybe a little bit longer. I mean, 2013
Yes, more
was
or less.
quite a bit of time back.
Okay.
Basically, what we done was we got the electric fence working first, because that is your perimeter
Yes.
detection at the end of the day. So that, if we tackled that first to get it online and get it going. Then we tackled the CCTV side of things. All right.
Yes.
I had to get in a independent electrician to come and sort out, obviously, the generator and the genset. You know, that the switch over from when the power goes off, the generator kicks in, you've got a switch over unit. I had to get them to sort that out so that we had power to the house when the power went off, because they were experiencing problems with the generator.
Yes. And then the pool also?
The The swimming pool, yes, Chair. The distribution board in the swimming pool pump section,
Yeah.
all right, was not in the greatest of states. We basically just pulled it out and we replaced it with a new one.
You replaced it.
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
Not by myself, but by the electrician.
Okay. So after you had carried out, you had fixed all of these things, thereafter, did you say you then continued to maintain, to do maintenance work in regard to these things over a certain period of time?
Only the equipment, Chair.
Only the
Yeah,
equipment?
not the garden cleanup was a once-off, all right, because we had to clean
Yes.
it up because there was branches hanging over the electric fence. We had to get rid of the branches so that it clears and we could get the electric fence working. The garden cleanup was a once-off.
Yes. And in terms of maintenance, are you able to tell how many times you had to go there thereafter for maintenance purposes
Chair,
over the period, or
it
is
wouldn't
it
be...
too many to count?
What would actually happen, Chair, is I would get a phone call from Gavin Watson, and he would say to me, Nomvulo is moaning about ABCD on the security side of things, just get it sorted out.
Yes.
Or I would get a phone call from Nomvulo's PA, Sandy, all right? She would either send me a WhatsApp or she would phone me and say there's a problem with the gate or there's a problem with the cameras or there's a problem with the electric fence. The electric fence keeps on screaming in the garage and et cetera, et cetera. And then basically what we would do is I would task a technician, all right, to go out and sort that problem out.
So before you could go to the premises to sort out whatever needed to be sorted out, you would get a call either from Mr. Gavin Watson or from Ms. Mokonyane's PA to say there is a problem in the house about XYZ.
That's correct, Chair.
And you gave the name of the PA. Do you say Sandy?
I don't know what her surname is, Chair. I only know her as Sandy.
As Sandy.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, all right. And then you would go there and fix
We would go and fix the problem, and we would then obviously give Angelo Grizzi feedback to say to him, if we couldn't get hold of Gavin Watson, say to him that the problem has been resolved, and we would carry on with our normal duties.
So you know that residents well.
I do, Chair.
You know how to get there.
I do, Chair. I actually, in the last paragraph of my statement, I actually took the investigators around to all the premises of the Johannesburg residences of all the politicians that we've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. And in all instances during this ongoing maintenance, when you would go to the property, at each visit, did you go with vehicles that were not marked?
We went with unbranded vehicles, Chair. That's correct.
And you were not in your work uniform at all these times?
Civilian clothing.
Can we move on to paragraph 27 of your statement? Do you know if this project was given any sort of priority?
Gavin Watson was fully aware, as he was the person who instructed that the work must be done at those premises and to always receive priority.
So Mr. Watson told you that the property must always receive priority?
Yes.
And
that's
over,
correct, Chair.
over what would the property be receiving priority?
If the cameras would fail, or if the electric fence would fail, or if the gate motor would fail, it had to get sorted out ASAP.
And did he say why it needed to be sorted out ASAP, as you say, or receive priority?
No, he would just say that it needed priority.
Why was the type of work that fell under special projects, the type of work that BOSASA or Sondolo IT used to do for other clients as well?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay. In regard to other clients, those clients would pay.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes. in respect of people falling under special projects, would they pay anything?
Not to my recollection, Chair.
Yes.
It would be paid by BOSASA.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And throughout the ongoing maintenance during the year 2013 to 2017, what was the process insofar as payment of any supplies or any costs incurred in this ongoing maintenance?
It would be paid for in cash, Chair.
Would this be the same process that you earlier referred to where,
A quotation would be obtained. Well, first we'd go out and have a look and see what the problem was. If the gate motor had packed up, I'm not saying the gate motor did pack up, but if the gate motor had packed up, we would get a quotation on a new gate motor. If we couldn't fix it, we would then take that quotation for signature, get it signed off, and go and collect the cash, Chair.
You said earlier on that at a certain stage, all the paperwork relating to a particular residence under special projects would be given to Mr. Agrizi.
That is correct, Chair.
Do you know what he would do with it? Would he keep it? Would he destroy it, or what would happen?
Chair, I wasn't aware of what he done with the paperwork.
Okay, thank you.
thank you, and you have just said that the services or costs incurred would be paid by cash. Do I have that correctly?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The costs that would be incurred in this ongoing maintenance of this property would be paid for by cash,
That is correct.
by means of the same process where you go to Mr. Jaak van Zyl,
That is correct.
who would then give you cash,
That is correct, Chair.
and you would then pay the supplier of whatever product you needed.
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you. Now, from paragraph 29 to 30 of your statement, you speak of another project, in respect of whose property was the special project undertaken.
This property belonged to, well, the three properties belong to Mantashe.
And how do you know that the property belonged to Mr. Mantashe?
Because it was said to me by Papale Shabani, one of the directors at African Global.
And what was Mr. Papale Shabani's involvement?
I'm not sure what his involvement is there. I was just instructed to go and do 3 residences of Mr. Mantashe.
And you were so instructed by Mr. Papale Shabani?
It was instruction from Papale Shabani, yes.
You've just stated that there were 3 properties.
That is correct, Chair.
Can you recall the areas?
The one area was in Bloedberg in 29.1. 29.2 was in Elliot, Eastern Cape. It was a farm. And 29.3, it was Kala in the Eastern Cape.
And can you recall if the specific project was given any special name, as has been with the previous project?
It was only called Mantashe, that's it.
And when was this project undertaken?
I'm not sure of the dates, but if we go back on the invoices, we'll be able to trace back the dates of the invoices. I've already spoken to the investigation team, who are going to obtain all the invoices from the suppliers.
Invoices in respect of the suppliers for maintenance on the properties.
In respect to the installations,
Can you at all recall whether maintenance at the respective 3 properties was done at the same time or at different times or over a period of time?
these 3 premises, we would go and sort out all the Bloedberg residents. We would go and sort out a few camera issues there, when the camera used to pack up and things like that, all right?
No,
I
we'll,
think-
we'll go back to the specific work undertaken on the properties. My question to you is, can you recall when work was done in respect of the 3 properties? Was it done at the same time?
No, they were done at 3 separate intervals. The 2 in Eastern Cape were done at the same time. We finished the one at Elliot, and then we moved on to the one at Kala. But the Bloedberg one was done way before that.
Are you able to remember the year, even if you don't remember the date, and I know you have said the invoices will come, you can't remember?
Chair, I can't remember the...
Okay.
I'll be dead open honest with you, Chair. When it came to the installations of the properties, I never made notes of the months and things
Yes,
like that.
no, that's
I was
fine.
just following instruction, and I was just getting the equipment to...
Yes, no,
in
that's
order
fine.
to get the job done, basically. At the end of the day.
No, that's fine.
But-
You just help us with what you can.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
Bloedberg residence was the first residence that we done. And thereafter, the 2 residences in the Eastern Cape came after that.
Okay, just tell us, take each one of those residences and tell us what you did in regard to each one of them.
All right, Chair. The Bloedberg residence, the only thing that we done there was the CCTV cameras and the perimeter lighting.
What did you do with CCTV cameras? Did you install? Did you repair? Did you
We installed,
maintain?
Chair. We installed new cameras at that premises.
Yes,
And we installed perimeter lighting because the premises was dark.
yes.
And what happened was there was a complaint that came through that the cameras at night, they couldn't see properly. So we had to add a bit of lighting to make the cameras that you could see properly at the end of the day what was happening on the premises.
Yes.
And that was it. That's all we installed there.
And then the property at Elliot Eastern Cape Farm, what did you do there?
There, Chair, I just want to go back to 29.1, sorry, Chair. The 29.1 installation was an analog system.
Can I just
That is the
confirm that?
Bloedberg one.
Yes.
The Bloedberg one?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes,
That
what was
system
it?
was an analog system.
Yes.
All right. The Elliot installation was an IP camera system.
That's what you installed at the Elliot residence?
That's correct, and lighting.
Yes. Okay, and then at Kala?
At Carla was exactly the same installation as the Elliot installation. It was a CCTV IP system and a lighting system. We put up the perimeter lighting.
Okay.
And
Ms. Molefe?
thank you, Chair. Just to confirm, the properties in Elliot and Carla were both in the Eastern Cape.
That is correct, Chair.
And you have continuously referred to we when you're speaking of the work that was done. I would think that you personally attended to the property.
Myself and the technicians, Chair.
And these technicians, were they employed by any of the BOSASA groups?
They were employed by Sundolo IT.
Were there any other persons at the property who were not from BOSASA?
No, Chair.
And can you recall how much the project cost?
Well, for all 3 projects, the approximate value of all 3 projects was 300,000 rand.
For all 3 residences?
That's correct, Chair.
And the work done on the properties, was this done on a once-off basis, or was there ongoing maintenance?
The 2 Eastern Cape properties, we only went back once after. I can't recall the month or the date. We had to go and do maintenance on the 2 systems. I remember the Carla property, the UPS had packed up, and we had bought a new UPS on our way down, and we installed it at Carla. But we only done maintenance at those 2 premises once after the installation was done.
And the first property in Bloedberg?
We would do, I wouldn't say regular maintenance, but we had been there quite a few times to sort out cameras and lighting issues and to do playbacks for the client at the end of the day.
And can you recall over what period, be it months or years, that this ongoing maintenance was done?
I can't recall. Like I said, it's very difficult to pinpoint months and years and things like that.
How, excuse me, how did you come to the figure of 300,000 rand when you say the value of the approximate value of the equipment supplied and work done in regard to the 3 residences was 300,000 rand?
It's just my recollection, Chair, the invoices that I gave to Angela. That's what I'm saying, it was
Yes.
approximately. I can't say it was exactly 300,000.
Yeah, yeah.
It might have been more, it might have been a little bit less.
Okay, all right.
And being involved in these special projects, you would be able to estimate how much a special project would have cost BOSASA, in
More or
addition
less.
to the invoices.
But approximately, yes. But
In
the
a-
invoices will be able to give you an
Yes.
exact amount of what the project cost.
And that's
The-
fine.
The invoices, so if one wanted to look at invoices relating to a particular residence that you attended to as part of the special projects, one would be able to identify that these invoices relate to that particular residence.
That is correct, Chair. To my recollection, if I can recall, each invoice had a project name on it, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay, all right. Thank you.
as a reference.
And would you have written the project name on the invoice?
No, it would have been printed on
It would
by the
have,
supplier, because they print a copy of the invoice, and on the invoice it would have Angelo Grizzi's name on there, and then it would have a reference on there, and then the reference would be the reference of the project at the end of the day.
but the reference would be provided to the supplier.
That's correct.
Thank you. Now, in paragraph 31 to 42, you speak of another property. In respect of whose property was the special project undertaken?
Yes, it was, Chair.
In respect of who?
Dudu Moyeni.
And can you recall how many properties were attended to?
Only the Richards Bay property.
And at whose instruction was this special project undertaken?
Trevor Matendra and Gavin Watson.
Was any special name given to the project?
No, Chair. Not to my recollection.
And can you recall when this project was undertaken?
I can't recall the month or the year when it was undertaken.
Did you attend personally to the property in Richards Bay?
Can I explain how we...
No, first answer yes or no. Did you personally attend to the property in Richards Bay?
That's correct, Chair.
And were you accompanied by anyone?
By Trevor Matendra, Chair.
And who is Trevor Matendra?
He's one of the directors at African Global.
And how did you get to Richards Bay?
Well, maybe let's start with this. How did it come about that you attended to this project?
Chair, I was phoned by Trevor Matendra, and I was told that I had to meet him at the office the very next morning. We were flying down to Richards Bay. He never told me who the client was or anything like that. He said it was an instruction given by Gavin Watson. What we done was, I met him at the office the very next morning. Now, unfortunately, the smaller airports, there's only one flight out and one flight back in the afternoons. So,
Is that to Richards Bay?
to Richards Bay, that's correct, Chair.
Yes.
And basically what we done was we flew down to Durban, all right? We rented a car and we drove up to Richards Bay.
At what stage did you get to know that you were going to Mr. Dumieni's residence?
Chair, it was only on the way back from Richards Bay, on our flight on the way back, that I learned it was for Dudu Moyeni.
And who told you?
Trevor Matendra, Chair.
Yes, okay. So you flew down to Durban, and then what happened?
We hired a car. We drove up to Richards Bay, all right? We got to Richards Bay. I was busy doing the site survey, all right? I didn't see who Trevor was having a meeting with. He went inside of the residence, had a meeting with whoever he was having a meeting with. I done my site survey where it was told that electric fence, a full CCTV IP system had to be put in with the capabilities of off-site monitoring on a mobile phone, and an alarm system with perimeter beams.
Yes.
So I went and done my site survey, and when I was finished, I waited for Trevor Matendra to come out of his meeting, and then we departed.
How long were you and him at this residence, more or less?
Chair, it wouldn't have been more than an hour.
Yes, okay. And then after that, did you drive to Durban?
No, Chair, we stayed in Richards Bay that night.
Yes, and you returned the following day.
We returned the following day, Chair, that's correct.
And did you fly from out of Richards Bay, or did
We
you
flew out from Richards Bay, yes, Chair,
to Johannesburg?
to Johannesburg.
Okay, then continue.
At paragraph 35, you narrate what happened the following morning, and you were given a certain instruction in respect of the house. What was the instruction?
Chair, what had happened, to my recollection, the house was burgled either that night or early hours of that morning. And I'm not sure if Trevor got the phone call that night, all right, or the early hours of the following morning. But he said to me that what we've got to do is we've got to make a turn past the house first before we fly back to Johannesburg.
And is there anything specific that you had to attend to at the house?
I basically had to attend to the electric fence, the CCTV system, and the alarm system.
Is this now on the morning on which you were to depart for Johannesburg?
No,
or
on
you
that-
mean much later?
No, that would be much later. We would do the installation. That
Okay.
morning, I waited in the vehicle chair.
Okay.
I didn't go into the house where they had
Yes.
the meeting with regards to the break-in and things like that.
Yes, okay.
And did you receive any further instructions in respect of the property?
In what sense?
Well, you had done your survey when you were in Richards Bay. The next morning, you were also instructed to go past the house before leaving for Johannesburg. Did you receive any further instruction of work to now be done on the property?
No, I only received that instruction when we were on our way back to Joburg on the flight.
And what was the instruction?
That when we land, I needed to make arrangements that we had to leave still that afternoon for Richards Bay because there was a robbery at the premises, and we had to make the arrangements with the relevant suppliers that we would collect the stock in Durban itself. But we had to get the team together as soon as we landed, arrange a vehicle, which I arranged from Frans Voster. It was a double cab. Because the other 3 vehicles were being utilized at that stage. So I had to make quick arrangements to leave that afternoon with the technicians down to Richards Bay.
So you land from Richards Bay in Johannesburg, and on the very same day, you're given an instruction to return to Richards Bay and attend to the property. And you get a car from Mr. Foster, and you then drive back to Richards Bay.
That is correct, Chair.
Did you drive from Johannesburg to Richards Bay?
That is correct, Chair.
And now were you driving by yourself or with a team?
With the team, Chair.
How many of you were?
Chair, to my recollection, there was 3 technicians and myself.
Yes. Okay, proceed.
And you drove to Richards Bay. Was this to Ms. Dudumiene's residence?
That is correct, Chair.
And what did you then do when you arrived at the residential of Ms. Dudumiene?
No, we arrived very late that night. We were booked into a bed and breakfast. We only attended the property the very next morning again.
When you went to the property, was there any work done?
No, there was no work done. I basically just took the guys through to go and show them where the property was, and we would start establishing what needed to be done and where it needed to be placed, for example. And while we were busy with that, I was also on the phone to the suppliers to make necessary arrangements to collect the stock, either later that day or the following morning to start the installation.
So in addition to showing the people that you're with the property and what needed to be done, did you collect the stock as you have referred to?
Yes, we did collect the stock.
And is this on the following day, the same morning?
Chair, to my recollection, I think it was the following day.
So this would now be the second day in Richards Bay?
That is correct, Chair.
And what then happened after collecting the supplies?
We started with the installation at the premises
On the second day?
on the second day.
And how long did this take, can you recall?
It took us about 3 to 4 weeks.
So are you saying that you stayed in Richards Bay for 3 to 4 weeks?
That is correct, Chair.
And when did you return to Johannesburg?
When the project was complete.
Okay, and do you know how much the project cost?
The approximate value of the project was 250,000.
Yes. In paragraph 39, you speak of a conversation that you had. With whom did you have this conversation?
Sorry, which paragraph?
Paragraph 39 of your statement.
Sorry. I had this conversation with Angelo Grizzi.
And was this in person or over the phone?
It was over the phone.
And when did it take place?
It took place when I was almost back at our head office after the installation was complete.
So was this while you were driving back to the head office?
That is correct.
Driving from Richards Bay?
That is correct, Chair.
And what was the conversation about?
Angela Grizzi had phoned me and instructed me not to return back to the office because there was 2 officers there to arrest me to take me back to Richards Bay.
Police officers.
I'm not sure if they were police officers or investigators. He just said to me, officers,
Okay, all right.
And did he state why you were going to be arrested?
because of the break-in at Richards Bay,
At whose property in Richards Bay?
at Dudu Mayeni's property.
What did you then say in response?
I said to Angelo, I had contacted Trevor on numerous occasions while we were down there because I was investigated by the investigating officers that were dealing with the property and the break-in. And he instructed me that under no circumstances do I even mention the name BOSASA. He
Now,
said,
okay, sorry, Chair.
Before this, while you were at Ms. Mieni's residence, had you been confronted by anybody in connection with the alleged burglary in her residence?
Chair, when you say confronted by the investigators,
Investigator or whoever, did anybody
I was
talk
confronted
to
by
you
the
about-
investigators at the premises of Dudu Mayeni.
Yes, was this now on the day when you were with your team there, as opposed to the day when you were with Mr. Matendra?
No, that was on the day that we were busy there with the team.
Okay, all right. And what did this person say to you?
Chair, he wanted to know where we were from. I said we were independent contractors. He asked me what company I work for. I said we are independent contractors. We basically just go about doing our job at the end of the day. I did not bring the BOSASA name up at all because it was a strict instruction that the BOSASA name should never come out
Yes.
at any of the premises or if you were confronted by anybody at the end of the day. Because it
Yes.
was said that if we mention the company's name, all right, you see the gate there, that gate will be open and you're more than welcome to leave. So we had to take that confidentiality and keep it with ourselves.
Now, when this person asked you this question, were you inside the premises of Ms. Mieni's residence or were you outside?
We were in the premises, Chair, and we were in the dining room section.
And the person was inside as well?
That is correct, the investigating officer.
Yes. Is that how your conversation with him ended, or was there anything further said between the two of you?
Chair, from my recollection, I think he came back the next day and questioned us again. All right.
Yes.
But I immediately phoned Trevor, and I said to him, Trevor, I've got a problem. These people are quizzing us with the house break-in at the end of the day. I said, and yeah, we're just here to do our job. And he said to me,
Yes.
don't worry about it. I'll contact Dudu, and I'll make it go away, that you guys can carry on and do your job, because you're not part of that. You shouldn't be part of that investigation because you never broke into the premises.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. What then happened in respect of your being questioned or interrogated about the breaking in?
We were left alone after, I think it was the second day, to carry on with the installation.
Do you know whether the investigator was an SAPS person, officer, or was it a private investigator or insurance investigator?
Chair, it wasn't a SAPS. He didn't have a SAPS uniform on. So I'm not sure. I was just told that he was an investigator.
Okay, thank you.
Do you recall what was the approximate value of the project?
The approximate value of the project was 250,000.
And from what information do you base this estimate?
Also due to what we installed and the invoices, from my recollection.
Is it both what you installed plus the work done, or is it just
That's just the equipment, Chair. That did not include
Labor.
accommodation or labor or anything like that. That was not charged.
Okay, okay.
And did you go to this property again? Did you return to the Richards Bay property?
I did return to the Richards Bay property, Chair. I returned 2 times. The one time was when there was a problem with the server. We had to rectify the software. And the second time I returned there was a problem with the power. And the UPS had packed up. So I went into Richards Bay town to game, and I bought a new UPS, and I replaced it, and I took the UPS back with me.
Did you say that all the expenses, were paid by BOSASA for this project?
That is correct, Chair. It was fully paid by BOSASA.
Yes. You said that towards the end of your affidavit, I think you say you visited, is it some or all the residences that you give evidence about today?
We visited 4 residences, Chair.
Yes. So this one that you say you were told was Ms. Dudumieni's one, you are quite clear about it. You can take anyone who wants to go, you can take them there.
I definitely can, Chair.
Yes. Are there any special features that you remember quite well,
Chair,
in regard to the house?
The house is on the corner, and there is a bit of like an arch, all right, on the corner.
Yes.
And in front of that arch is a water feature, a water fountain.
Yes.
All right? And when there's 2 gates. There's a gate here and there's a gate on the side here.
Yes.
When you drive into the main gate, there's a fish pond, a koi pond, on the right-hand side and the left-hand side of the main entrance as you walk into the house.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
And did you state, if you can recall, when this project was undertaken?
I can't recall the date, Chair.
You can't recall. Even when you returned to the property, you cannot recall the dates?
I cannot recall the date, Chair.
During the time that you were at this residence, did you interact with any person who stayed in the residence?
Chair, I gave feedback to Ms. Dudumoyeni. It was in the kitchen of her residence. I had explained to her what we were doing and what was going on, and I gave her feedback that way. But I didn't interact with her on a daily basis, no.
Oh, but you did actually, one of the days when you were there in the residence, she was also there,
That is correct, Chair.
and you spoke to her,
That is correct, Chair.
and you told her what you had done.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And in your exchange with Ms. Mieni, can you recall whether any mention of BOSASA was made?
No, I can't recall anything, Chair.
That's fine. In paragraph 43 to 44 of your statement, you speak of another project. In respect of whose property was this project?
I'm sorry, Ms. Molefe, I'm sorry to interrupt you. During your conversation with Ms. Mieni, is there anything that she said in regard to your report that you remember that you want to share with us?
Chair, we just shared what I'd basically been doing, where
Yes.
the alarm equipment was and
Yes.
things like that. You know what I'm trying to say? We didn't, that's all we spoke about was the actual equipment, nothing else, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
And can you just clarify this exchange that you had with Ms. Mieni, was it on your first visit or your subsequent visits?
No, it was on our very first visit.
Okay. In paragraph...
But, I'm sorry, the first visit was with you and Mr. Matenjwa.
No,
And then you went away, then you came back.
sorry, the second visit, Chair.
Second visit.
Yes, when we were
Okay.
there to do the installation, Chair.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
When you were with your team.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay.
And on the second visit, was Mr. Matenja there?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Can we then move on to the next project which you speak of in paragraphs 43 and 44? In respect of whose property was this project undertaken?
Richmond MT, Chair.
And on whose instruction was this project undertaken?
I was instructed by Gavin Watson with Angela and Agritzi's knowledge.
Can you recall how many properties were attended to?
2 properties, Chair.
And where were the properties located?
The one was Green Bushes and the other one was Colchester, Chair,
And whereabout is that?
in the Eastern Cape.
So both properties were in the Eastern Cape.
That is correct, Chair.
And can you recall when these properties were attended to?
I cannot recall the dates.
And when you went to this property, were you accompanied by any of your colleagues?
No, the initial site survey was done by myself. Can I elaborate a little bit more on it?
Yeah.
What happened was I had gone to the airport, and funny enough, Gavin Watson was on the same flight as me to PE that day. And he asked me what I was doing at the airport, and I said to him that I was going down to Mr. Mti's residence to go and do the survey of the plot and his residence at Colchester. And he said to me, just make sure you get it done, and done ASAP, please.
Now, obviously, he was not aware of your trip to these residences. Who had given you instructions to go to these residences?
Angelo Grizzi, Chair.
Okay.
Okay, and when Mr. Angelo agreed to give you this instruction, were you given a timeline within which to visit the properties?
No, there was no timeline given.
You were explaining to the chair that you went on your first visit for a site survey.
That is correct, Chair.
Was it in respect of both properties?
That is correct, Chair.
And in respect of both properties, did you ever return?
Yes, we did, Chair, to do the installation.
And what work was done?
At the Green Bushes residence, a full 21-strand electric fence was installed and perimeter safety lighting was installed.
And at the second property?
A full electric...
I'm sorry. Maybe we must do a correction there on paragraph 43.1. You said full 21-strand electric fence was installed and perimeter safety lighting.
That is correct, Chair.
Should we put and?
Please, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Please proceed. And what work was done at the second property?
At the Colchester residence, a full electric fence, perimeter lighting, and repairs to the alarm system was undertaken.
Can you recall whether this work was done at the same time? At the respective properties?
Both properties were done at the same time. The team went down. We left 2 people at the one property and 2 people went to the second property. The 2 at the second property, the Colchester property, which was smaller than the first property, when we finished that installation, we moved over to the first installation and assisted the other 2 technicians to finish that installation.
So the work was done on the same day?
It was done over a period of 3 weeks.
So you stayed with your colleagues in Port Elizabeth for 3 weeks?
That is correct, Chair.
And did you ever return to any of the properties?
We did, Chair. I cannot say how many times, but we did return to that property to sort out issues with the electric fence, because what would happen is the cattle that was on the property would bump the electric fence and it would bend the wires, and we had to sort that out. And the Colchester residents, because of the climate there, it would eat through the wires and things like that. So we would have to replace the wires and things like that as on the Colchester property.
Once again, also, you are quite clear about these residences.
I am, Chair. If you sent me with an investigator, I would be able to take you to the properties.
Yes, thank you.
And you said that you could not recall the period during which the properties were visited.
I cannot recall the period.
But in your earlier evidence, you did state that these special projects were undertaken between the years 2013 to 2017. Do I have it correctly?
That is correct, when I left special projects.
Yes. And can you recall what was the estimate project cost in respect of both these properties?
The approximate cost for both properties was 350,000 rand, Chair.
And again, do you base it on the same basis of invoices?
Well, the invoices, and you must remember at the coastal areas, you would use a different type of electric fence that could handle that climate at the end of the day. So that's based on that cost.
And the same payment process was followed?
Cash would be collected and cash would be paid to the suppliers, yes.
So you should know you should have a good idea of what each project cost, because you were the one who would get quotes, you were the one who would get the cash from Fanzale,
That is correct, Chair.
and you were the one who would then purchase whatever you needed in order to fix what you had to fix in the residence.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes.
The properties that we done on the further properties, we would normally arrange with suppliers down there. We wouldn't take the stock from Joburg and
Yes.
drive down with the stock,
Yes.
because there was just way too much stock
Yes.
to carry.
Yes.
And we didn't have a trailer big enough to carry all that stock.
Yes. But did you carry the cash from Johannesburg to pay the suppliers in the places that are far away from Johannesburg?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
And you said that you stayed in Port Elizabeth for 3 weeks.
That is correct, Chair.
Did you interact with anyone at the properties?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Did you interact with anyone at the properties other than your colleagues who you were with?
It was only myself and my team.
So who did you find at the properties?
At the Greenbushes property, if I'm not mistaken, Chair, it was Richmond MT's brother. I'm not
Okay.
sure of the name of his brother.
Yes. But
And then when we done the property at Colchester, when we done the installation, we were driven by another, I can't remember his name. We were taken there by him.
yes. Okay.
And did the person introduce themselves as Richard MT's brother?
That is correct, Chair. I would just like to add, Chair, later on during the installation, we did meet Richmond MT at the premises,
Oh, at which one of the two houses?
at the Greenbushes residence.
Okay, thank you. You knew him before then, or you were meeting him for the first time?
I was meeting him for the first time, Chair.
Okay.
And did he introduce himself as Richard MT?
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you. We then move on to the next project, which you have called Project Jones, in respect of whose property was this project undertaken?
Vincent Smith, Chair.
Sorry?
Vincent Smith.
Okay.
And who is Vincent Smith, or who was Vincent Smith at that point?
I was not sure who Vincent Smith was at that point. I only learned to know that he was the SCOPA chairperson.
And that's what you've indicated at paragraph 45.
That is correct, Chair.
At whose instruction was this project undertaken?
Gavin Watson.
And can you recall how many properties were attended to?
Only one property, Chair,
And where was it located?
in Rudaput, Chair. I took the investigators around to this premises as well, so they are aware of the residents.
And can you recall when you went to this property?
It was about 2 weeks ago with the investigators.
No, the first time in line with the special project.
I'm not sure of the date.
And what work had to be done at the property?
It was told that I had to do an electric fence and an IP CCTV camera system, and it had to have off-site capabilities, because when he traveled to Cape Town, he needed to see his cameras of his house on his phone in Cape Town.
And what is an IP CCTV?
It's an IP, it's an IP-based, I'm not sure of the terminology of the IP.
It's something technical.
That's correct, Chair.
But what does it enable you to do?
Well, basically, it enables you to do off-site monitoring.
Okay.
How did you come to do this project?
Sorry, Chair?
How did it come about that you were engaged in this special project? Who instructed you?
Gavin Watson and Angela Grizzi, the director, Chair.
Okay.
I was when I started opening and closing the offices, they saw that I was a trustworthy, reliable person. And that's how I came into to getting into special projects and heading special projects at the day.
Upon your first visit to the property, what did you do?
A site survey was conducted
And did you visit the property again?
to do the installation, Chair, yes.
And did you ever have to return to the property after doing the installation?
On numerous occasions, Chair.
Can you recall over what period you returned to the property?
I cannot recall the exact amount of times, but I mean, we would get a phone call from Vincent, and he would say the electric fence is not working, or the cameras are not working, or the IP router was not working. And
When- Continue. Continue. Sorry. Okay. When you say that we
Okay,
would,
I'm sorry, I may have missed something. Will you just confirm what was wrong that you had to fix, or what you were instructed to do at Mr. Vincent Smith's residence? I may have missed that.
After the installation was done, Chair,
No? First time. when-
we were instructed that an electric fence had to be erected and a CCTV system was to be installed with off-site monitoring capabilities.
Okay, and you did that?
And we did that, Chair, yes.
Okay, thank you.
and you earlier stated that we were contacted by Vincent. Did he contact you directly?
He did, Chair.
Mr. Vincent Smith,
That is correct, Chair.
yeah.
I have got SMSs which I have given to the legal team from Vincent Smith.
Okay.
And you said that you could not recall over what period the ongoing maintenance had to be
I
undertaken.
cannot recall, Chair.
You can't recall if it's over a year, over months, over weeks?
It was definitely more than a year.
Okay. Do you recall what the approximate value was of the project?
The approximate value of the project was 200,000 rand, Chair.
And the process insofar as the quotation from suppliers, was it the same process?
Exactly the same process as all the other special projects.
And insofar as payment, was it also the
Cash.
same? Cash from Mr. Jacques van Zyl.
That's correct, Chair.
Now,
And BOSASA paid all the expenses.
That is correct, Chair.
And
If the router used to pack up, Chair, I would have a company credit card of a limit of 10,000 rand, especially for special projects. I would obviously first phone Gavin Watson or Angela Grizzi before I used it, and I would purchase stuff out of the credit card, small items.
Okay. So these, the beneficiaries of these special projects, were they ever asked to pay or to make any contribution towards the expenses?
Chair, I'm not aware of anything.
In regard to other work that fell under your responsibilities, clients had to pay, is that right?
That is correct, Chair.
And being head of your department or unit that you were heading, you would know if payment had been made, if invoices had been sent out, or that would be the accounts department.
That would be the accounts department, Chair. I had nothing to do with the payments or the
Yes.
invoices or anything like that for the normal work.
Yes. So, but as far as you know, the beneficiaries of these projects were never asked to pay, but
Not to my knowledge,
you
Chair.
can't be sure.
I can't be sure, Chair, but not to my knowledge.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
in paragraph 45.3 on page 9 of your statement, you speak about a video footage. What is this video footage about?
Chair, there was video footage that came out on News 24 of the technicians removing the equipment at Vincent Smith's premises. And it was quite funny because it was said on there that they were there to do give mere advice of the equipment at the end of the day. But the funny thing about it is, if you look on that video, two of the technicians that are actually removing the equipment were two technicians that worked on special projects. The other gentleman that is standing at the back, he's the one that actually took over special projects when I left special projects.
Okay, let's go through that again. You say there was a video footage in News 24,
That's correct, Chair.
which depicted certain people who were said to be technicians removing certain equipment from Mr. Smith's residence.
That's correct, Chair.
Yes, and you say one of the people who were shown on the video footage was the person who took over special projects from you.
That is correct, Chair.
And there were two other people on the footage. You didn't know them,
I did, Chair. They used to work for me.
or you did know them,
They were also part of special projects.
or they were part of special projects.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, so they belonged to Sondolo.
Sondolo, Chair. How it happened was they drove down the driveway with the unbranded vehicles. All right?
Yes.
With the unbranded vehicles and the normal number plates.
Yes.
The technicians, the one that took over special projects from me actually gets unchanged in front of the one camera by the garage.
Yes.
And he puts on his normal personal shirt. And the other two technicians came with their personal
Yes.
shirts at the end of the day.
Yes.
Civilian shirts.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any information as to why they were removing the cameras?
I don't have any information.
Okay, and do you know what the approximate value of this project at this
Approximate-
property was?
Of this property, 200,000 rand, Chair.
And your estimate is based on the same bases that you've earlier referred to?
That is correct, Chair.
Can we then move to paragraph 47 to 49, where you set out details relating to what you have called Project Bramley, in respect of whose property did this project relate?
Chair, this property belonged to Tabang Mokwetla.
And do you know what position Mr. Makwetla held at that point?
I did not know at that point, Chair.
Can you recall when this project was undertaken?
I cannot recall the dates or the months.
At whose instruction was this project undertaken?
This instruction came from Gavin Watson directly.
And
Do you know what position he holds now?
Chair, I'm
don't
not
know.
100% sure, but I think he's the Deputy Correctional Services Minister.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
You are
Chair.
not sure. Okay, all right.
And can you recall how many properties were attended to?
There was only one property, Chair,
And where was the property situated?
in Bramley itself.
Is that where the name comes from?
That is correct, Chair.
And what had to be done in terms of this project?
We had to do a full electric fence, a full IP-based CCTV system with off-site monitoring, and a full alarm system with beams.
You've just stated that I am assuming that you attended personally to the property.
Sorry, can
Did you go in person to the property?
to do the site survey?
Yes.
Yes, I did, Chair.
And who were you accompanied by?
I was accompanied by myself.
Sorry?
I was there by myself to do the
Okay.
site survey.
Thank you. And other than the site survey, did you return to the property?
Yes, we did, Chair, to do maintenance on the electric fence, the alarm system, and on the camera system.
Well, after the survey, you would come back to do the installation, isn't it?
That is correct, Chair.
You came back after the survey to do the installation.
I came back after the survey, Chair, basically what I've done is I went and done the survey under Gavin Watson's instruction. I then phoned Angelo Grizzi, who was not aware of this project. And I said to him, I just need to bring to your attention that I'm being instructed by Gavin to do this project. He said, not a problem, go and do the survey. I will talk to Gavin and find out what has to be done there, and I'll get back to you.
Yes, and then what did the survey reveal needed to be done?
Sorry, Chair?
What did your survey reveal needed to be done?
Chair, where the area is situated, like I said, I don't want to reveal addresses and things like that.
What was wrong? What needed to be done? That's what I want.
Electric fence, CCTV, IP-based CCTV system with off-site monitoring capabilities so that he could also see it on his phone, and an alarm system with beams.
And did you subsequently return and installed all of those?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, continue.
Thank you, Chair. And when you returned to the property, were you accompanied by anyone?
By the technicians, Chair.
And over what period was this work undertaken?
It would have been about 2 to 3 weeks
Can you recall how many times you had to return to the property?
to do the maintenance.
Yes.
I cannot recall, Chair.
A number of times
I can't recall the times,
you might
Chair.
not have returned to do maintenance.
I do not have the times,
You can't
Chair.
remember?
No, I can't remember, Chair.
Okay. While
When-
you were at the residence, did you interact with anybody who lived there?
Chair, at first, no. I interacted with Mr. Makwetla's son at the beginning.
Yes,
Thereafter, I did meet Mr. Makwetla,
yes,
and we spoke on a few occasions while we were busy with the installation.
yes,
And thereafter, he would also contact me via a phone call,
yes.
all right, to say that there was a problem with the alarm, or there is SMSs that I have given to the investigation team as well.
Yes, okay. And when he would contact you subsequently to say there was a problem with the alarm or whatever, would you then go back to fix that?
I would either dispatch somebody or go back myself, Chair.
Sorry?
I would either dispatch somebody, one of the technicians, or I'd go back myself.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And can you recall what the approximate cost was for this project?
The approximate cost of the project was 350,000 rand, Chair.
And the same process was followed insofar
That
as
is-
quotation
That is correct, Chair.
and insofar as cash payments?
It was all paid for in cash by BOSASA.
In paragraph 50 and 51, you speak of yet another project which is rather referred to as Project Prasad. In respect of whose property was this project?
Mr. I can't pronounce the name, I think it's Mbulelo.
Can you please
Mbulelo.
spell it?
Mbulelo.
Was that the name or the surname, do you know?
Chair, I'm not 100% sure. I think it was his surname.
Okay.
Can you please spell the name or surname Mbulelo as you have it?
Mbulelo.
And at whose instruction was this property attended to?
It was an instruction from Sivion Glamini and Angelo Grizzi.
Who is Sivian Dlamini?
He is a director of African Global
And can you recall where the property is situated?
in Randburg, Chair.
Was this only one property attended to?
That is correct, Chair.
And can you recall when you visited the property?
I cannot recall the dates.
Why did you call it Project Prasad?
Chair, I was just told that he worked for PRASA.
Okay.
I wasn't told his position or anything like
Yes.
that. I didn't want to get involved
Yeah.
in that kind of negotiations. I was just told that he worked for PRASA, and that's why we gave it the project name PRASA.
Okay, thank you.
And did you personally attend to this property?
To do the survey, yes, I did.
Were you accompanied on your first visit?
When I was there, Sivion Glamini and Angelo Grizzi were at the premises.
And did you have any interaction with anyone other than Sivian Dlamini and Angelo Agrizzi?
Nope.
And did you return to the property?
Yes, to do the installation, Chair.
Can you recall after what period you returned to the property?
It would have been probably about a week after the site survey was done.
And when you returned to the property, were you accompanied by anyone?
The technicians, Chair.
And what work was done?
We installed a full IP-based CCTV system, a brand new gate motor, and an intercom system.
And on your second visit, did you have any interaction other than with the technicians?
No interaction with anybody except the technicians.
Did you ever return to the property?
To do maintenance once or twice.
Can you remember over what period?
It would have been over a period of about 3 to 4 months.
And carry on.
I have given the investigators SMSs as well, where I was instructed on a Sunday morning he couldn't get out of his yard.
Who's
and I had
he?
Mr.
Mbulelo.
Mbulelo,
And did he
Sorry,
contact you directly?
via SMS, yes, because I was in church.
Okay.
What was the occasion? You started telling us and then you
Chair,
stopped.
what happened was he had apparently had a power failure in the area, and the battery had run flat, and he couldn't get out of his gate.
Oh, okay,
So I had to send somebody there with a key to go and override the gate so we could put it on manual.
okay.
Did you have any other interaction with Mr. Mbulelo?
Not after that, no.
And the interaction that you had about the gate, was it only about the gate?
It was only about the gate, and I'd dispatched a technician to go and sort it out.
And can you recall what the approximate cost was of the project?
The approximate cost of that project was 150,000 rand.
And was the same process of quotation followed?
Exactly the same process, paid for in cash by BOSASA.
Sorry, did you state what the approximate cost was?
Yes, the approximate cost was 150,000.
Okay, thank you. In paragraph 52 to 55, you speak of yet another project. In respect of whose property was this project undertaken?
Before you answered that, is paragraph 51 the last paragraph that falls under Project Prasad, so that from 52 it's a different project?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay. Did you have a name for this next project or not?
I did not, Chair. There was no name given to that project at all.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And in respect of who was this project undertaken?
A Mr. Desmond Nair.
At whose Instruction?
Trevor Matenja instructed Angelo Grizzi, who instructed me.
And do you know who Mr. Desmond Nair is?
I have no clue who he is, Chair.
And how many properties were attended to?
Only one property, Chair,
And where was it situated?
in Pretoria.
Can you recall when you attended to the property?
I cannot recall.
And can you recall how many times you went to the property?
Can I give you the background on the
Yes, please.
project?
Yeah.
I recall Angelo was very cross with this project because what had happened was they had sent a project manager out to this premises, and he went in a Sondolo uniform. And questions were raised by the security company that's guarding his house as to why is Sondolo coming to do a installation of this magnitude at this house. And I had to go there afterwards and do another survey, and I was questioned and asked, I said, well, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know a company called Sondolo IT. I said, we're just here under instruction to come and do a survey and to come and install equipment. I can
Okay.
also, sorry,
And who instructed you in regard to this one is Mr. Trevor Matenja?
Trevor Matenja instructed Angelo Grizzi, who instructed me, Chair.
Okay,
And Chair, just to add on that, I have taken the investigators to that premises as well.
okay, thank you.
On your first visit to the property, did you go in person? Well, you went in person, actually.
I did go in person.
And were you
yes.
accompanied by anyone?
I was accompanied by myself. Sorry, I went on my own.
Okay. And on the...
Apologies.
No, it's fine. Just stay calm. And on the visit that followed, were you accompanied by anyone?
By the technician's chair to do the installation.
And can you give specifics of what was done?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can you please give the specifics
Of what was done?
of what was done?
Chair, we installed a full electric fence, a full IP CCTV system, and a full alarm system with beams.
And did you ever return to the property?
I never returned to the property, no, but the technicians returned, I think, I would say once or twice. I don't want to say more than that, but it was about once or twice to do some maintenance,
And how do you know that they returned?
because I was the one that sent them.
And can you recall over what period this ongoing maintenance took place?
I cannot recall.
Can you recall the year or the month?
It would have been one of the recent ones, so I would presume it would have been somewhere in maybe 2016, early 2016, somewhere around there.
And can you recall the approximate cost of this project?
The approximate cost of the project was 200,000 rand, Chair.
And was the same process of quotations followed?
Exactly the same process. It was paid for in cash by BOSASA.
Okay, now in paragraph 56 of your statement, you speak of an interaction between yourself and Mr. Gavin Watson. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair.
What happened?
I'd lost Mr. Tabang Makwetla's contact details, and what happened was he was hijacked at one stage, and he changed his phone number. So I asked Gavin, because I was instructed to go and sort out one or two things on the electric fence there. And I said to Gavin, I don't have his contact details anymore. And Gavin, I've given the message through to the investigators as well, where he actually sends me Tabang Makwetla's contact details.
So it's Mr. Gavin Watson who sent you the details.
That is correct, Chair.
Can you recall when this took place?
I cannot recall the date that he sent it to me.
Can you
It should
recall
be
the
on the
year?
SMS.
Can you recall the year?
I don't want to give something that I can't.
You are not sure?
Not sure.
That's-
Yeah.
That's
okay.
fine. And what was the instruction given to you?
In paragraph 56,
Yes.
I was informed by Gavin Watson that I was to remove all serial numbers of all the special projects, take the serial numbers off and discard of the serial numbers. I had a big issue with this, Chair, because I phoned Angelo Grizzi and I said to him, look, I've got an issue with this because when it comes to warranty purposes, I'm not going to be able to exchange and change it out, if you know what I'm trying to say. And the basic attitude was from Gavin was, if it fails, we replace it.
So
This
having,
was removing serial numbers from,
The cameras, the DVRs, the energizers, the equipment at the end of the day that had serialized numbers, he instructed me to remove the serial numbers.
okay.
and once you received the contact details of Mr. Tabang Makwetla, did you ever contact him?
I did.
And what was the conversation?
It was in regards to he had a problem with his electric fence, Chair.
Was there any conversation around the removal of serial numbers?
Only between Gavin Watson and myself and Angelo Grizzi and myself.
Were you
I
giv-
did not speak to the clients about removing serial numbers, no.
And were you ever given a reason why the serial numbers had to be removed?
I was just told that they needed to be removed.
Do you have an idea what they could have been used for?
Well, Chair,
if they were
if
not
you-
removed, could
if-
Sondolo have been traced? Could they have been traced to Sondolo?
Well,
Oh.
it could have been traced back, Chair, because at the end of the day, when we received an invoice for the equipment, especially on the camera equipment and the DVR and the electric fence, those were serialized items. So they would record the serial numbers on the invoice. So if we had to get an invoice and take that invoice and go to one of the properties, you'd be able to take that serial number and it would correspond with the invoice.
Oh, okay, yes, okay, thank you. But in the invoice, I can understand that if it was, an invoice was taken by somebody from within Sondolo, they could do that. But if it was somebody from outside, like an investigator, would there be anything in the invoice that would tell him or her which residence to go to in regard to that invoice?
Well, there would be a name on the reference, Chair, and I'd be able to give more information to the investigator on that name and say which residence that was.
Oh, so you would be the person who could give
I would be
the
able to do that, Chair.
information? Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. In paragraph 58 of your statement, you then confirm the process insofar as paperwork and the cash payments. Is this correct?
That is correct, Chair.
And in paragraph 59, you again confirm under whose instruction you undertook these projects.
That is correct, Chair.
Can you just repeat the names that are stated in that paragraph?
Gavin Watson, Angelo Grizzi, Papa Leshabani, Johannes Gamedi, Trevor Matendra, and Sivion Glamini.
Was Sifion Dlamini one of the directors?
Chair, if I'm not mistaken, he was the youth centre director,
Oh, okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, let's go back to paragraph 58. In the second sentence there, you say accounts would be opened as the cash account in Angelo Agrizi's name. Can you talk about that a little bit more? I thought you just got a quotation, and then you went to Frans Voster, and Frans Voster would ask you, when do you need the cash? And at the right time, you'd come and collect the cash. I know that before you went to Frans Voster, you would go to Mr. Agrizi because he needed to sign the quotation, is that right?
He would sign the quotation off, Chair,
To approve it.
just to approve the quotation.
Yes, yes. Tell me about opening an account in his name.
Well, basically, what we would do is we would open up at the various suppliers that we would collect the equipment from, but we would use Angelo Agrizi's name, all right, with 1 Windsor Road's address.
Yes, that's the that's the address of the company.
That is correct, Chair.
With all these all these residences, is that how you would open accounts with suppliers?
That is correct, Chair, and we would pay strictly cash.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
No, we wouldn't have a 30-day account or anything like that.
Yes.
We would set up, when we would go to the suppliers, we would turn around and say to the suppliers, we are coming through to come and collect, I'm bringing cash,
Yeah.
make sure that you, and we would go into a back room, count the cash, and they would give me the equipment.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And in paragraph 60, you talk again about the instruction of not disclosing to anyone that the work was being done and who it was being done with. Can you take the Chair through that?
Chair, like I said earlier, Gavin Watson was a very intimidating person. What he said goes. You couldn't question him or judge him, or you couldn't give your point of view through. What he said goes, and nothing else, all right? I was always instructed not to disclose to anyone about the installations and work done. And Gavin Watson often said to me, listen to me, my mate, I'll make sure that you never get another job as I am connected, and you being a white male at your age, no one will ever employ you if any of this information ever comes out. So for me, that's very, it's threatening. I mean, I'm following instruction at the end of the day, Chair.
Yes.
And so did you follow this instruction strictly?
I did follow instructions to the T.
In paragraph 61, you confirm again that what you've stated in your statement is true and correct.
That is correct, Chair.
And in paragraph 62 of your statement, you speak about the visits that you had with the investigators to some of the properties. In which province, in respect of which province did this visit take place?
We only visited 4 premises, Chair, and it was in the Gauteng province.
And did you notice anything about any of the properties?
Yes, Chair, I noticed that when we went past Mr. Vincent Smith's residence, he has still got the electric fence, but he's got new cameras on the house. I'm not sure who supplied those cameras, but our cameras were removed, and when we drove past there, he had new cameras on the house.
Okay.
And in respect of any other property?
Tabang Makwetla, we went past his premises, and we noticed that all the cameras were removed.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair, I'm not certain if we should inquire as to when publicly these visits took place. As I understand, there will be further evidence provided in respect of the visits to these properties.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think he said that, you said that these visits happened in the last 2 weeks or so?
That is correct, Chair.
With the investigators?
With the investigator.
Of the commission?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. There will be further evidence in this respect. Chair, if there are no further questions from your side, this would conclude Mr. Leroux's evidence. It, however, cannot be closed as there is anticipation of cross-examination. And we would also be supplementing Mr. Leroux's affidavit in line with the annexures that have been added to his evidence.
Thank you. Mr. Leroux, I will release you for now. You probably will be asked to come back at some stage in the future, but we'll release you for now, and I understand that you will continue to cooperate with the investigators if there's anything they need from you.
I will do, Chair.
Yes. I do understand that you came to give evidence because summons were issued against you to come and give evidence, and you had to come. But I thank you for coming to give evidence to the Commission and to assist the Commission.
Chair, it's a hell of a stress off my shoulders.
Okay. No, thank you very much. You are released for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Would this be a convenient time to take the long adjournment?
Yes, we will take the lunch adjournment now and resume at 2. We adjourn.